is going on, everybody, and welcome back to Gamer Credits. This is going to be Season 2, Level 6. Let's introduce the players. We got Player 1, BP.
What up, kid? What's going on?
Man, here to talk about some video games. What about you?
Hey, man, as always, man, I'm ready.
All right. And speaking of ready, Player number 2, Captain Starchild. Are you ready?
Oh, 1 second. I'm not ready yet. All right, how's everybody doing?
What's up, man?
There he is.
Hey, man, I'm having some technical difficulties because the ping is showing that I am in the red, so my audio might cut out.
Awesome.
It's a great way to start.
Yeah,
I love
man.
it. I love
Exactly.
it.
Yeah, but other than that, I'm doing great. How's everybody else doing?
Hey, man, we're maintaining, man. At least
We're
I can
here,
speak
man.
for myself.
Well, you're here. That's the important part.
That's it, man.
That's true.
And then, of course, we got player number 3. It's your boy, Kid Dream. So, before we get into the nice little couple of topics we got today, does anybody have a gaming moment of the week?
I definitely do, but Star, you want to go ahead first?
I don't have anything that came to mind, so I'm just going to be sitting back listening to your moment.
This man right here.
Yeah, right. Hey, I was trying to get him to do that to buy me some time, but because I was trying to look back on my list now.
All right, well, here. How about this?
Yeah, you go,
this
kid.
will be my gaming moment and Starchild's gaming moment.
Nice.
Because
Oh, goodness.
finally, for the first time, was able to get not only Star, but BP over to the house to play some video games in person. And so that within itself was a fun time. However, the actual gaming moment of the week comes down to when Star and I were playing Resident Evil 5.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say y'all played. I just watched and laughed.
Yeah, for full transparent. What?
No, I said I got nothing against that game before you start, putting a bad name on me, but
Nah. I was just gonna say, for full transparency, I have played Resident Evil 5. I can't even count how many times. Love the game, phenomenal. I know it in and out.
This is true.
Star, on the other hand, has not had the fortune of playing it as many times as myself, and so. So we just running through some early game levels, and of course, I already had a bunch of the weapons and upgrades unlocked and everything like that. And I'll just say it was definitely an experience, kind of going through it again with him, being not necessarily his first time, but one of his first times, kind of going through the game. It was definitely a blast.
it was frustrating.
Oh man,
Look,
just gotta keep playing, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Hey, can I say this? I mean, even though admittedly I showed up late, as I usually do fashionably, when I came in though, when I saw
Kanye.
Yeah, well, I guess I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that. But anyway, that kind of I know that took me off guard. But for what I was seeing, coming in, man, Star, you was holding it down, man, in Resident Evil, man. I was actually impressed with some of the aiming you did.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
Man, I mean, you was getting some headshots, man. I was like, hey.
The aiming in that game and that little radar light that you get to use, they definitely need to be moved that from any game in the future. That does not translate well in today's gaming. Like, no.
It was fun. It was definitely a blast to go through that with them.
Yeah. It was great just watching y'all going nuts with it. So that was pretty cool. And it brought back memories. It made me want to play it again really, really bad.
I was going to say, the listeners may not know this, but that was our first time ever meeting.
First time ever meeting.
Oh, okay.
That was a joke. And dang it, let's move on.
Nice.
Wish I had that sound effect, that or something.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like just then.
Oh man,
you might need to add that because that was tough.
Yeah, I might try to find a way to do it.
we're gonna edit that out. Yeah, we're gonna edit it out now. No sound effects is completely.
It was the robot.
Yeah, he is kind of robot right now. Oh, Star, you still there?
I'm here.
Is the ping still showing kind of low on your end?
Yes, it is, y'all.
Okay.
I apologize.
That's all good. I'm just giving the audience some context. So, all right, well, that's cool. But yeah, I mean, it was a fun time just seeing y'all playing and going at it, playing Resident Evil 5.
What about you, BP?
Well, I guess you didn't want to go into the Naruto, I guess, right?
Oh,
I'm just curious
well,
because
I was gonna give him some dignity, you know.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. So for me,
But no, if you insist, just real quick, after Resident Evil 5, I challenged him to a couple matches of Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 4, and I beat him every time. Well, I won every game. As he pointed out, he won a round, but I won every game.
he knocked down a round, so you got to give him that, I guess.
We'll give him that. We'll give him that this time.
So I guess coming to me, I actually have some that I forgot to talk about last episode.
All right.
So the first thing was I actually played and beat the game Trek to Yumi.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, I like the game. You know, it was a really cool side-scrolling game that, you know, because I hadn't played a side-scroller really like that in a while. At least memory serves me correctly, I haven't. But it was really fun. I will say that it was very impressive as far as visually. I know, like, it had that black and white scheme, you know, that in the style of I think Kurosawa, the famous director of, like, you know, not only samurai movies but other movies he's directed. It kind of had that style to it, of black and white, you know, presentation. But the combat was simple. You know, it was nothing like really complicated. It taught you everything on the fly. And it was just a really cool experience. I mean, it got annoying a couple of times just because it had a little bit of delay just from me playing, but maybe that's just because I didn't know what I was doing sometimes. But it was really cool. It was really cool. I will say it was very bleak, because it really kind of centers on, like, you know, villages getting attacked, just to really kind of avoid giving too much spoiler. And there was just a lot of wailing and cries and of terror and just well, I don't know how else to follow it up with, but just terror and just chaos was just, you know, just like in the air, and you just heard like a bunch of people crying, and, you know, they lost loved ones. So, you know, I bring it up because it could be triggering for people who really kind of have to deal with grief, you know, recently, or just continue dealing with it. You know, it could be kind of triggering, but overall, it was a pretty good experience, and not that long. I think it was like maybe 5 or 6 hours.
Okay, that was gonna be my question about how long did it take you to beat, because I actually have it installed and I do want to check it out, but I was just kind of curious on, you know, if it's a little bite-sized game or if it, you know, upwards of 20 hours or whatnot.
Yeah, I would say bite size of roughly 5 or 6 hours. It depends on what you're doing in it. You know, like if you're trying to explore a little bit or get some items outside of the campaign. But yeah, and it's a one and done. So I mean, take that as you will. I mean, it's on Game Pass when I played it, so it seemed worth it to me.
How I got downloaded.
There you go, exactly. So, and then the other thing was, my son and I actually finished Overcooked 2, which was really stressful. The last the last level, but it was. Yeah, oh man, listen. But it was still fun. It was still fun. So it was a good experience. I still recommend it for people. I will say that you think that game is stressful. We actually came across another game today called Space Lines from the Far Out, and yeah, that it's like Overcooked, but it's in space, and you have so many other things you have to kind of stay on top of. Like you got a budget you got to maintain. You got to make sure the ship is steering in the right course and not hitting asteroids. You got to fix things around the ship. You got to feed your passengers. Yeah, there's just a lot that you have to do.
Yeah, I believe I know what game you're referring to, and yeah, I can definitely get the Overcooked anxiety vibe from that game as well.
Oh yeah, it's I would argue it's worse because it's like the second level we played, we failed like easily. Yeah, because it was like, oh yeah, you didn't remember to do your fuel for the ship, and I was like, okay, now we have to worry about fuel. Great.
Yeah, that game looks intense as well.
Right. But yeah, that was about it.
Okay. All right. Not a bad week. I would say so. And you know, a good thing that finally happened this week. I feel like they announced this quite a while ago, even though it really wasn't that long ago. Is finally the new subscription for PlayStation Plus. So we finally have the 2 additional tiers. What is it? The extra and what, premium or something like that is what they called it?
That is correct, sir. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And just kind of wanted to just give, not say a review of it, but maybe like our first impressions of what we think of what they, now that we finally have the full catalog of what's going to be offered, you know, what we kind of think of that in the service. one thing I do want to just say real quick, I do like this, and I hope maybe Xbox or Nintendo or other companies really try to implement this. Is I love that with the higher tiers you get the game trials. And different ones have different times. So like I think Horizon, the new one, I can't remember if it's like 3 or 5 hours. I think it's 3 hours. I think Cyberpunk's like 5 hours. Most games are like 2 hours, and I really do like that because I miss the days of having demos and being able to try a game before you purchase it. And so I do like how they do incorporate this into the subscription. I think that's a good idea.
So to take what you said, I agree with all that except for it being a part of the tier subscription. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I honestly feel like I honestly feel like that should just be part of the package with doing a PlayStation, just regular plus or whatever. I think it's essential. That's what they renamed it to or something like that.
Oh,
so,
yeah, essential.
Yeah, and I'm like,
basic.
Exactly. It's like just a dressy way of saying, basic. It's just hilarious to me. But so that's just my opinion on it. I know there are other people who kind of shared your sentiment of, hey, it's still a cool deal that you get the trial, because they're not going that direction, obviously, of the new day one releases for everything yet. So trial is better than nothing. So I can sort of get that, but at the same time, just like, come on, like, you can just really throw that in the basic plan.
Yeah, that'd be nice. But I do like some of the games that they're offering right now. They do have some pretty big hitters, and they're going to be rotating games in quite frequently and often and everything. And I do like what they have. I know for me, like one of the big standouts right now is Returnal.
Oh yeah. Because we talked about that in the previous episode, and I actually still am curious to play that. So yeah, I definitely want to go ahead and try that out. That probably what'll make me get this the plan.
Because if I'm not mistaken, Returnal got a co-op mode that came out a couple months ago. So I would imagine
it did. You're right.
You get that, because I think it was like a free update. So I would imagine it's included with this, being part of the subscription. So
right.
I'm really excited for that, actually.
Yeah, so that sounds like it'd be pretty cool. I think we lost Star, man. I haven't heard.
Hey, I haven't. Star, you there?
You might be having technical difficulties. Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess while he's figuring that out, let's see what else do they have? Oh yeah, 2K22 is on there. So for your sports fans out there.
Yeah, a little sweet addition, I think, just to kind of, because I know Game Pass has it, right?
Yeah, it was so funny because Game Pass really got it like maybe a month ago. So
right.
Now it's just funny that now it's on PlayStation Plus.
I'm just wondering if they felt like they had to, kind of like as a, I don't know, I don't want to say dig at Game Pass, but just to kind of look at what Game Pass was offering and kind of say, hey, we really have to kind of come close to matching what they're doing. I just kind of wonder about that. Yeah. And then how did that work exactly? Because I know Game Pass had to work out a deal with 2K. So I'm just kind of wondering if, Sony kind of worked out the same deal, or did they have to? I mean, obviously the 2K could probably make up their mind to say, hey, we can do it to both parties. But, I just kind of wondered, I just kind of wonder about that because I know that there must have been some kind of deal or arrangement that Xbox made with them that they were satisfied with. And just to see that Sony was able to do the exact same thing for their tier system just kind of makes me wonder.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely an interesting thing to kind of discuss and just wonder, like, one day we could probably have a discussion about the inner workings of how these subscriptions work and, what kind of deals go on in the background. But it is, I'm sure 2K was like, oh, Xbox, you want to give us money for this? Yeah, okay, fine. Oh, PlayStation, you want to give us money too? Okay, yeah, bet. Say less.
Yeah,
we'll take it off.
Yeah, because I'm just wondering, like, and especially because I'm imagining that the sales for the 2K22 weren't as great as the prior entries. So I'm just kind of wondering if maybe that kind of opened the door for that as well, for them to say, well, hey, we might as well make these deals so we can definitely get some money, some, kind of get some kind of good return from it.
Yeah. And I know Star might not be with us right now, but as I'm looking through the list, Naruto Ninja Storm 4 is on there. So Star, might want to go ahead and get it downloaded, brush up on them skills for next time,
man.
Yeah,
you know it now. He's about to go into full training mode, man. I can just imagine him going to like Rocky 4 mode, like the training montage.
Hey man, he might have to. Because
hey man, he wants to redeem himself.
Yeah. I think we already knew this, but Spider-Man Miles Morales is on there, which is definitely a big hitter. big heavy hitter. Good game, and definitely if you have a PS5 or even just a PS4, it's definitely worth kind of checking out and playing.
Oh yeah, definitely. They had another one on there too. I know, and then Ghost, of course. They do got Ghost
Yep,
featured on there.
Ghost.
Um,
Director's cut too, more importantly.
yeah, that was crazy. I saw that. I was like, okay. Well, I mean, I guess it makes sense, but I just was kind of surprised they threw it on there like that.
Yeah, it's pretty good because I actually never got around to playing the director's cut content, so this was a good opportunity, I know, for me to kind of check it out now that it's available.
Yeah, that's right. You haven't been in Ghost in a good bit, right?
It's been a while. It has been a while.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was like nice little addition. Got a lot of looking through the list now as we're talking. They got a lot of really decent titles in there at the very least. Get people warmed up to the idea. Oh, they even have Fire Pro Wrestling. I wanted to try that. I never buy it, admittedly, but now that it's on there, I want to I want to try it now.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have a pretty good selection of games. Not only a couple of newer things, but they do have a good bit of older games on here as well. As I'm kind of going further and further down the list, and as a whole, I don't think it's a bad package. I think they definitely have a lot of heavy hitters. You know what's funny, BP, that I'm noticing?
What's that?
A lot of the games on here are the exact same, or a lot of same games on Game Pass.
See, that's what I was wondering, man. That's why I was kind of wondering if they really, really carefully crafted this to do that. To kind of really go in direct. Because I know they were like trying to say that they weren't really in direct competition with it, but I think all of us really weren't too fooled by that. It's like, yeah, we kind of feel like that's just your way of not outward saying it, but I think that you really are kind of going on that realm.
Yeah, and I mean, it ain't bad. I mean, because there are some really good games on Game Pass. So, I think it's nice that they have a lot of similar ones here on the PlayStation Plus subscription. But, there are definitely some interesting games on here as well that you might not even find on Game Pass. So, I'm just going further and further down the list, and there's some nice things on here. So, I like what they're doing.
So I'll be interested to know though, like how often are they going to add to this list? Like is it going to kind of reflect what Game Pass does on their kind of the way they do it? Do you think this is going to be exactly like that, or do you think they're going to try to push even more titles on there?
So it's a good question. I know they mentioned, like, I think the middle of the month is when they'll add more games to it every month. I think is what they kind of stated a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so I definitely see them continue to add more. I guess for me, my biggest thing that I want to see and what I'd be curious about is mainly, kind of what they add and when they add. Because one of the things that Game Pass has, like, as an advantage is that not only do these games come to that service, but a lot of these games come day one. For instance,
Right.
Outriders.
Yeah. Good point.
It's one thing about, will PlayStation get these games on the service? At some point, probably, maybe, but when? Is it going to be day one or is it going to be 6 months down the road?
Right. That's a good point.
What you think?
I mean, Sony still carries that arrogance. I still feel like, so it'd probably be some time. Like, I don't think they would feel like they necessarily need like Game Pass would, to do that. And honestly, I think Game Pass might have to reinvent itself not reinvent itself. That's not really a good word to use, but just it would probably need to reassess how often they're releasing titles on there, just because of the fact that a lot of their main hitters are slated for next year. So they're gonna have to really look. They're gonna really look for what's gonna get them through for the holidays, and get the systems and the subscriptions out there and moving. So, I think they're gonna probably be more in tune with looking at how they can release more titles on it. At least I'm thinking, as opposed to Sony. They may just be like, nah, we're.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see kind of how these two subscription services kind of compete now, because like you said, I mean. PlayStation might still try to be arrogant, but it's, if you don't got the games, then people aren't going to want to pay that extra for it, and I will say, I guess it's kind of smart how they still have that basic, so you might just have people sticking to the basic sub and not upgrading. I'm curious to see, man. I'm curious to see, because I think they're setting themselves up for success, but it's just a matter of how much they continue to update it, because if 3, 4, 6 months, 8 months down the road, if they're not adding these big, flagship games, if they're not getting these AAA companies to get their game on the service either day one or even, a few months later,
Right.
then I think people are going to stop subbing basically or go back to that basic sub, if they can't keep adding constant titles, you know what I mean?
Very true. Very true. Because people have to feel like they're getting value out of it. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that. Even if it is
Kind of
Sony.
like, kind of like I think we discussed it either maybe in the last week's episode or I know like in the pre-discussion, pre-talk or whatever, pre-show. That's kind of a discussion going on with Xbox and Game Pass is that do people still feel that value? Do people want to keep subbing? If you don't have these new and interesting games coming to the service, every month, a couple of months, the people want to continue paying that sub every month,
Very true, yeah. And that's the topic that's still very much alive, I've seen. So, I can definitely, yeah. I mean, that definitely makes a big difference.
Yes. So I guess closing thoughts on it before we move on. Will you be upgrading to extra or premium?
Probably extra, to be honest with you, at the time. Because I'm not. I mean, would it be cool to go back and play like a lot of the older titles? Like, I mean, well, PS3 is gonna be streaming, so I don't know how pumped I feel about that.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, there are some PS2 and 1 titles that were really cool. I like, but I'm just not really at that space where I'm ready to kind of go back to that yet. And plus, I still have the PS2. I think I got a PlayStation 1 still laying around somewhere, so I can still access those games that I have. So, I mean, I don't know. Time will tell. I mean, we'll just have to see how it goes and how nostalgic I get or something like that, and I might end up upgrading. But right now, I'll probably just be same for you. How about you?
Yeah, I'm thinking more towards the extra. I was a little hesitant at first, but then as they kind of announced more games, and as the more I kind of thought about it, I was like, you know what, I might just pay the extra couple bucks to have the extra and just to kind of see what they throw out there because they do have some interesting things. Returnal, like I said, and a couple other games that are on their director's cut, Ghost of Tsushima, and titles that I do kind of want to check out that I wouldn't mind just upgrading the sub because they already have the basic PlayStation Plus.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't mind just chipping out a couple more bucks for it because I think as of right now the offering they do have are pretty good. And again, I'm just kind of hopeful that down the road they continue to add more, even more of them.
Right.
Even more heavy hitters to it. But yeah, I think I'm gonna be with you with the extra. The premium, I don't really see too much value, for it as of right now.
Right.
That might change, but yeah, I think the extra is that perfect sweet spot for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I my sentiment is exactly that's just where I'm gonna stay at right now. I'm sure if Star was on, he probably says I can't see him going on extra.
Yeah, no, I don't think he would do premium. Oh man. Well, I guess we can move on to our next topic then while we wait to see how he feels.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool, and then we'll just I guess if he wants to give some thoughts as we wrap up, then I'll do that.
So this past Sunday, Xbox and Bethesda had their game showcase and announced, the and did a little presentation showing off the upcoming games and everything. And I'll say this real quick, because if Stark can come back, I know he has a lot to say as well.
Oh yeah.
I say what you want about the actual presentation within itself and what they showed off. I like the stance that they took, and they stated this right from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Basically what they said was, "Hey, look, everything you're about to see is coming out within the next 12 months." And I like that because how many times have we had conferences and we had games shown that don't come out for 2, 3, 5, 6 years,
Mm-hmm.
and it's ridiculous. And so I really appreciated the whole, look, we're just going to show you things that are coming out within the next year. And, say what you want about what they showed, whether you liked it or you loved it. I like knowing that whatever they showed you in 4 months, in 1 month, in 6 months, you can go and you can play right away.
Yeah, and that is a bonus because I know we had a discussion about that in I think a previous episode of ours, just talking about, because it is aggravating to have a game kind of mentioned and put out there, and then like you said, not slated for or slated for 5 or 7 years down the line or something like that, or 3 or 4 years or something. So to that end, I do agree with you on that it is cool to say, hey, everything. Don't worry, everything that we're about to show you or talk about is going to be releasing within the next few months or several months, as opposed to it's still 2 or 3 years out or something like that.
Yeah.
Now, of course, that could change. They could always delay it if something's not shaping up. But the idea behind what you're saying yeah, I think that is because I've always kind of thought that. I was like, it's just not to me. It's not cool to like. I know some people are okay with that because they like getting on a hype train and just kind of like I guess torturing themselves by getting so overhyped over a game that's not slated to come out for 3 years. But I just was never
Yeah.
one that I just wasn't like that. I was just like, no, don't do that because that you know what I mean? Because that's going to run the risk of me just forgetting all about it, not caring. And being like,
Exactly.
oh yeah, that's right, okay, whatever. And as opposed to, oh okay, I can wait a few months.
Exactly. Now, and then I think we're a lot of kind of, I'll say contention, but, or whatnot, is just from what the actual games that they showed off. I know some people were a little disappointed or, underwhelmed with it, which I can definitely understand. Like I said, it was a really risky approach because they could have shown, maybe bigger things they had in the works. We still haven't seen Avowed, we still haven't seen Fable, we still haven't seen, the Elder Scrolls 6. There's still a lot of big things that they could have shown, but yeah, and I did like the approach. And for me, I definitely enjoyed a good bit of what they had. They started off the show with Redfall, and at BP, I think you and I both kind of agreed that it looks pretty fun. It looks interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm a sucker for co-op. Like I just really like co-op experience. Like just hanging out with the friends and just being able to experience something that we can just come together and on and go against like the enemy AI or something like that. Like I just always been drawn to that type of thing. So it definitely did come off very appealing. And like I looked at it and I kind of got like Back for Blood vibes, which I still have yet to really get into that game. And I've seen I know there's been some negative, criticism over that and everything, like, like how it plays and the difficulty level and all that. So, and maybe this won't be anything like that, but I can kind of understand where people were kind of like saying, hey, it looks a little generic, or it looks kind of like a spinoff of Black for Blood, where it doesn't seem like it's adding anything new. But for me, I'm like, as long as it holds up and, like I said, that fun factor with your friends is there and a parent, then, I think it'll be fine. I think that the issue would come about is if I didn't have anybody to play it with, then I could probably start being like, it doesn't look that appealing. Because I think really the only thing that when I looked at it, visually, I mean, it's okay. The gameplay is okay, but what I was drawn from it was just the co-op nature of it. So
yeah,
that's the biggest selling point. If that falls through, and like let's say for example you and Star and some of my other friends don't get it, and I'm just stuck, and I'm like, I don't really care anymore. So
yeah. Well,
so
I'll say definitely, I'll be checking it out. And I do like, because like I said, the whole co-op thing. It looks like it's more of kind of like a whole hero shooter type thing, and each character has his own unique abilities and things it can kind of do in the role that it plays. And so,
what do you think about the dialogue? Like, the dialogue with the characters and all that stuff. Because I've kind of heard some comparisons of, like, some knockoff. What did somebody say? I really wish I remember who said it, but it says, like, a knockoff kind of Buffy the Vampire Slayer kind of, like, dialogue that was in there, which I was like, I don't know. I didn't think of it that hard, but, just curious to see what you think.
If I'll be honest, I don't really remember the dialogue much. I guess part of the problem of it being the first thing you show off, it maybe came across a little cheesy, but I'm just like you said, interested in the whole co-op in the gameplay element, and I think just sitting back and playing that with friends is going to be where the real fun is for that one. And how you mentioned about having friends to play with. Well, that's something I did again like about the conference was almost every single game that they showed off or talked about. At the end of it, they showed you a little title screen, playable day one with Game Pass.
Right. Yeah. Very true. Very true. So really nice touch, I will say.
Yeah. I definitely was happy to see that and see that, hey, look, all these games, day one with Game Pass, it's always refreshing to see, which I kind of expected, but it was nice to see it. Of course, they announced a new Forza game, and I will say, graphically, it looks incredible. The ray tracing on the vehicles and just all the little different elements and everything, and it looks good. Personally, I'm not into racing games, so it's something I might download just to check. But I've never been big into playing them or anything like that.
Well, since you bring it up, what do you think, and how do you think it compares up to the latest Gran Turismo game, like as far as visuals? Because I've heard and I've seen a little bit of the new Gran Turismo visuals, and I'm not. I mean, mind you, I'm like you. I'm not really into the car racing or the car racing simulations, but I remember back in the days just being so impressed and just blown away by Gran Turismo titles and Forza titles. They both look really good. But I noticed the last Gran Turismo, I don't know, it just to me didn't feel like it progressed any at all. It was almost kind of like looking at a Madden, newer iteration of a Madden title where it's like, oh, nothing's really changed. So with that being said, like, how do you feel Forza ranks with that? Do you think that it's a vast improvement over the last Forza, or what do you think? Or is it a vast improvement over Gran Turismo, I should say?
Yeah, I'm not sure because I remember when they showed off, because this Forza is, I think, Forza Motorsport or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
But the last, I think, Forza game was Horizon 3 or 4 or something like that.
Okay.
And I want to say it took place in like Mexico or someplace like that. And I just remember even back then when they showed it off like last year or stuff, I was like, it looks incredible. Like visually, it looks amazing. So I think it's just progressively getting a little bit better and better. And I think now with the whole ray tracing thing, and the reflections, it's the details are starting to come in really, really nice. I will say, because you brought up Gran Turismo, I really hope Forza isn't surrounded in so much controversy as Gran Turismo was.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Gosh. I mean, geez, all that negative press and just all the bad monetization options they were doing with that. I felt bad. I was like, dang, man, it's like worse and worse and worse every week.
Yeah, and I think it's still going. I think they kind of caught up in some more controversy with it too, like reverting back to the like old monetization schemes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, really?
Doesn't end.
Yeah, man. I was like, okay, so yeah, you're right about that. Hopefully they'll have the mind set to just not touch that. Maybe that might be like a dig that they'll use later on as it it's coming out or something.
Hey, it won't be bad.
Yeah, I'd like to announce my arrival. I'm back, y'all.
Hey, man, welcome back.
I'm using the phone app, and this might sound horrible on your end, but I can't get my Wi-Fi to work, so I'm using my phone as my connection to y'all.
That sounds okay.
All right.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were just kind of going over the showcase, man, and we talked about Redfall. So we were kind of trying to go over that, and then we were talking about Forza a little bit. So did you want to kind of chime in on Redfall at all, or just kind of give your initial thoughts of showcase before we move on?
All right. So I kind of feel like crap because I missed out on a whole lot of the show, but I'm going to try to keep the energy at your same level. Redfall, I'm going to be positive right now because so many negative things just happened. The game looks promising. That's the most I can say without trying to make anything out of it. The game is still in production, so I don't want to try to judge it based on what was currently shown. I just think that for the way they present the game in the beginning, I thought it was going to be like a horror type game.
Right.
But it's technically a one-of-a-mill type of first person shooter, I guess. No, this is not first person. This is third person, isn't it?
No, it's first person.
No, it's first person. Yeah, because it was just a gun. Yeah, it's like a Doom clone. Yeah, so what I was there's no innovation in this game, in my opinion. But it is what it is. It looks decent, but yeah, I don't want to say too many bad things until I see more of the game.
Oh man, I was counting on you to say bad things, but no. Anyway,
believe me, I wanted to, but my energy is so in this other realm right now due to dealing with Wi-Fi stuff.
So the network issues took away all that rage. I got you.
Yeah. No, not rage. No, man, no rage.
All the rage.
Yeah, man, it's all good. It's okay. But it's funny because just real quick, we were kind of discussing what our main draw to it was, Redfall, and it was just mainly the co-op. Because like we were kind of discussing that. Admittedly, it didn't seem too innovative. It didn't seem like anything beyond the basic format of a typical co-op shooter. but the idea that you can play with your friends and just kind of have a good time with it is the definite appeal. It's like I said, the kid that if the element was missing where you guys weren't going to be on it, then I just wouldn't even really wouldn't bother with it. Like it to me would, you know what I mean? Because it'd just be another generic shooter.
But here's my question. How many more zombies do I have to kill? How many more vampires now do I have to kill? How many more drones do I have to kill? Like, I need games that are coming out.
Endless.
I mean, endless is mindless to me. Like, I kind of want, I want some type of purpose other than upgrading my character. I think we've done that gameplay for the longest. And what a lot of companies have been trying to do is add a different type of spin, but the spins are just gimmicks. I'm just looking for a additional innovation when it comes to making games for this new, I guess, the new systems, not the next gen, but the current gen.
Right.
Just add something else to the gameplay that makes it feel like I'm playing on the current gen systems. And it didn't.
Something new.
Yeah. This is nothing new.
Gotcha. Oh, gotcha. Okay. Well, we won't bother probably going back into Forza because you don't really care about that.
Forza looks beautiful, but that's
go.
always been Forza, man.
Yeah.
I mean, but like I said before, we've done it before. We've been there before for Forza. We know this is going to be his own separate studio that gets all of his 100% of time to only working on that game. So that game's always going to be polished. They need to try doing that with the current games they were displaying with this showcase. And that's just, again, it's not like the games they show was their final product. So I'm not judging it, but Forza, when they displayed that had no imperfections. That's all I'm saying. Yes, yeah, exactly. Don't know about the gameplay part, but it makes me feel like, okay, they're making something for the current gen now. But the other games, just not feeling that yet.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then another good one that looked pretty good was A Plague's Tale Requiem, I think is the subtitle.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. And it did look really good. I mean, I was impressed by it. And I hadn't played the first one, so I want to actually go back and try to play that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I have the first one. I think I have it downloaded because it's on Game Pass. And I've wanted to check it out for a while. I just never actually, carved out the time to go play it. So I think what I will probably do now that I think they announced the release, I will try to go play the first one to be ready for the second one because it does look pretty good. And it looks like they're taking a more action kind of approach to it because even in the trailer, I think one of the characters was like, oh, don't become like them or don't attack the guards or something like that. And she's like, well, why not? And just like starts beating up guards and stuff like that. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It.
Yeah, no, you're right. I even saw a little bit of how the mechanic was because I think there was a scene where she was going under the bed or something like that.
Yeah.
And it looked really similar to like Last of Us, kind of the motion of it and everything. So I was like, oh, snap. Okay.
So that definitely looks interesting. I definitely can't wait to see some more about that. The new game from the people behind Rick and Morty.
Oh, yeah. What was it called? I can't remember. What was that called?
God, high something?
They were high when they made it.
Yeah. Hey, I mean,
absolutely.
It's not, I'm about to say, it's not outside the realm of possibilities there.
I mean, if you look at the weapons, somebody was in a certain state of mind when they're like, how can we make our guns talk to us? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and see, I like that because it was I liked how each gun like has its own character and voice actor and I guess talks and interacts with you and stuff like that. And so High on Life, that's the title.
Now the cool thing about that is I do remember in Borderlands 2, I think it was, one of the guns did talk to you, like had his own AI, and that was fun. So I remember it being fun in Borderlands. So I wonder, would it translate the same way in this Rick and Morty game? Which it might, because it looks like it could be fun, but doesn't seem like my kind of game to play.
It's fair. That's fair. As I was kind of telling them before the show, I think the same people, or at least the same minds behind Rick and Morty, made a game. I think it's called the Accountants or Accounting or something like that, which is a VR experience. And I mean that game is just hilarious. You know, it's such a funny game. So I'm excited to get another game with this same like kind of humor, and you know, first person shooter. So that helps do it.
Yeah, I could totally see you coming in line with that kind of humor.
Hey man,
surprised.
I love it. The dumber the better.
So
another game I just remembered as I'm looking at a list that looked pretty interesting. Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn.
I don't think I've seen that one.
You might have missed that one. I'm sure I've seen it. I just probably don't remember.
Yeah,
that's me with most of the showcase.
Dang. Yeah, it was like a third person action adventure type game, and it looked interesting, and you know, a new IP, which is always exciting. I'm kind of getting a little tired of the same things over and over again. So new IPs, I'm always welcome for. And it looked different. It looked interesting.
You can rock guns and axes too, so can't go wrong with that.
Exactly. So I'm interested to kind of check that out. You know.
Okay. Yeah, I might look more into it. I have to go back and look at that video. I'll be honest, I completely forgot all about it.
Before we get to a big one, I know you guys, you two can definitely talk all day about. Briefly, I just want to say Diablo 4 looked incredible.
It does look nice. Full disclosure, and I know the people are gonna probably come after me for this, but I've never played a Diablo game.
Wait, really?
Yeah. I'm in
the same boat.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried one of the game, I guess was on like a trial run, and I did not care for it at the time.
Now, here's the real thing about that. Because Diablo, I think in the beginning it was, well, not think, but it was in the beginning like a PC game only, right? Like up until, what was it, part 2? Or did they re-release it or something?
I know for a fact 3 was on consoles.
Yeah, that one I knew, yeah. But I can't remember if 2 they had re-released it to go to consoles. But the point is that by the time it came to consoles, I guess I just wasn't really into that kind of thing anymore. Because, like, for example, I played Gauntlet, you know, which is I'm sure it's not exactly like Diablo, but it kind of has that same kind of like feel or presentation, at least in my opinion. So, and I like Gauntlet. So I bring that up to say I like Gauntlet. So I honestly, if I wasn't really big on PC gaming like that, you know, except for like maybe Doom and things like that, or Doom 2. But I always did want to give Diablo a try. I just never really had the means to do it. And then by the time, like I said, it came to consoles, I kind of was just kind of out of that phase of really wanting to play those types of games. Although I still kind of retained a little bit of interest and thought, like, to myself, if I ran across people who, you know, I was really cool with and wanted to play it, then I would definitely, you know, give it a shot. So all that to say that, I mean, this Diablo 4, you know, it looks really good. It kind of did bring me back to the days where I did play Gauntlet, and it's kind of, you know, kind of re-sparked something in me to kind of say, you know what, maybe it's worth, you know, checking out. So I wouldn't mind it.
You know, it's funny because as I was watching the gameplay, I was like, you know, it looks fun. You know, granted, Blizzard's been Blizzard lately, so you know, I had to try to hold off on the hype a little bit to kind of see what we actually get when it launches, because they could definitely butcher the launch like they've done with a lot of other things lately. So you know, I'll say that what we did see looked amazing. You know, I am excited for it. I would tell you though, it did leave me itching to play a Diablo type game, or play Diablo in general. So if you do want to play some Diablo 3, let me know, because I'm down. I was just checking while you were talking.
Yeah.
It unfortunately is not part of the PlayStation Plus collection or new tiers. So
it's not on Game Pass, is it?
I don't think so. I own it on Xbox.
Okay.
So I don't think it is, unfortunately, which it's just odd to me because it's an old game at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So you would think it would be.
It'd be a great opportunity for them to load it under. But
yeah,
you know.
but I mean, if you guys are in the, you know, ever want to give it a shot, I would definitely be down for that.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, and that way I can kind of get in there and just kind of see how it comes about. So, but honestly, I think, you know, all that to say is I think I definitely would be interested in Diablo 4. But again, pending your point of Blizzard and what they choose to do with it on release. But regardless, if it seems to come out decent enough, then I'm excited for it.
And so we also got another trailer for Overwatch 2, as well as some new pieces of information. One being that the open beta, I believe it is it October, I think, right?
I thought October was the release, but maybe you're right.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wasn't it supposed to come out in October?
I thought so. Maybe I'm
yeah,
wrong.
but beta though, because at the end they mentioned beta.
Yeah, it's possible that the beta is going to be tested before. Cause I think PCs tested anyways before consoles.
Yeah, it says
No,
it's coming out on October 4th. The title. I don't see when it. I'm trying to now to see when the beta begins June 28th.
Now, is it going to be consoles or PC gamers?
It says
for the
PC
beta?
and console.
Nice. Okay.
Sure, because I see an article here that says early access begins October 4th.
Well, early access could mean like I guess whoever
purchasing, can purchase.
or like because I'm looking at it now and it says Overwatch launching on 4th will be free to play on PC, Xbox Series, Xbox One, blah 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 blah. And it doesn't say anything about beta. And it says here on this announcement here that it's supposed to be June. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. Regardless of which, I mean, I don't honestly care too much. But we'll, my mindset might change. Like, what do y'all think? Are y'all hyped about? Because I know we talked about it last time about our impressions of it. Like, what do you did this showcase kind of change your mind at all? Towards it or
it showed the Junkertown Queen, and I'm thinking that her character design is fresher than some of the other characters they've been releasing in the past. She seems to have a different type of mechanic, and I'm only excited about seeing what they do with Diva. But again, the game is still fun.
Right.
So the game is still fun. So if they can add more gameplay, more characters, I'm all for it. Just don't call it Overwatch 2. Just keep it Overwatch. Stop. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. What about you, kid?
You already know I don't really have much of a horse in the race when it comes to Overwatch. But I will say the fact that it's I guess now free to play, I wouldn't be opposed to checking it out, and I think it'll even be crossplay as well. So not to say I wouldn't probably just play on PlayStation with y'all. I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to now checking it out. It wouldn't probably be something that sticks with me, but a free to play game, I'll definitely get a couple games in.
Yeah,
I had fun with Overwatch 1.
It definitely will be crossplay. They won't take that feature away.
Yeah, and I mean, since you bring that up about like being free to play, like, are we concerned about that, guys? Like, what do y'all think? Because I'm sure we talked about this before about the free to play games and the possible impacts.
So I'll say this because I'm sure you two have way more to say. Personally, I think Overwatch, the way it is and monetized, should have been free to play because, you buy the game and you get the content. However, you get a loot box every time you level up, or you can buy more.
True.
Which to me, that already by itself was a free to play type of model anyway. So if they keep that exact same model where, you get the content, you level up, you get a loot box, and then, you can buy more if you want to, I say by all means do that. But, if they start locking characters behind paywalls or, locking maps or modes and stuff like that, I'll say you lost me. But if they keep the exact same way it is with Overwatch 1, just taking away the the price tag, then I'm down for it.
And see,
but that's why I think they went to the free to play, because they will start using paywalls.
Yeah,
I mean that's how they will make their money. So it's not about. I'm sorry.
Oh no, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm being rude. Go ahead.
Oh no, I think I may have cut you off.
No,
I was the rude one.
You good?
All right. Well, everybody, this is how gentlemen's perform. So thank you for. But yeah, I was just thinking, like, when they say free to play, I was trying to in my mind figure out how would they be making money, because when I hear free to play, I hear CEOs, thinking, hey, how can we make more money? So yeah, it's going to be paywalls. It's going to be not just cosmetics. There's going to be something that is going to, I don't know what they're going to do to screw this up, but they're going to do something that's going to piss people off. So you just got to wait and see.
Yeah. And, to Star's point, that's a little bit of my concern too, is that, that it's going to be an open opportunity for them to paywall a bunch of, features in the game. which, it's always a bad thing. Which I know is debatable because people say it's free to play, it's like, so what are you complaining about? But it's like, but it kind of just depends on how much of an effect that has on the game. You know what I mean? There's been so many games we've experienced in the past that were free to play that just ended up not really being that fun because they got so greedy about it.
Like
So I just feel like
Destiny.
they can. Well,
Hey,
it had its
if I want
moments.
to
Yeah,
get
you're
back
right.
into, I said if I want to get back into Destiny, the amount of money I have to pay just to catch up with a lot of the game and the story, it's way more than it would have cost just to buy the game. Like it's so yeah, it's like if you don't start playing Overwatch 2 in the beginning and earn points to be able to unlock things without the paywall, people who start playing it later down the line, if they want to catch up to people who's currently already been playing it for a couple months or years, it might be costly if they want to try to catch up to having options like other people might already have unlocked because they played it since the beginning.
And to add to your point too, like with Destiny 2, I did notice that with the latest, I think the Witch Queen expansion, they had started doing some other questionable parts of it, like how they were breaking up dungeons for separate cost.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and that's what I mean. So so to your point, I can see that, and if that does become something like how they do with Overwatch 2, then that can be very concerning. Because I do agree with Kid, I do feel like it should have been free to play to begin with, just because at the time it was really just. It's only just like a multiplayer, like a 6v6. There's no other meat to the game. And you're essentially was paying like what $60 for that. It just was kind of wild to me. But we'll see, man. I don't know. It's a little nerve wracking though. But and plus it's Blizzard, so let's not forget
and
that.
Plus, we also have to remember that we're living in a different economy now. Like this is a recession, so these companies are hurting for cash. They have a certain type of profit margin. Oh no! But here's the thing. I do believe they are, because if this way, I like to imagine how rich people worry, because or how wealthy people worry, because if the actual value of the dollar starts declining, I don't care how much money you have in the bank, everybody's money value is declining. So these companies, because they have so much assets and so much responsibilities to these assets, they have to try to secure their profit margins. So they're going to get very greedy just so they can continue on making as much money to keep the value on their stocks at a certain point, to where they can always look at their shareholders and say, hey, we're doing good, even in this economy. But it's interesting. I just think that this is a cash grab, but it's gonna look bad for them if they go the route of how can we just squeeze nickels and dimes out of our players.
So I'm gonna save my audience the excessive rant that I would go into, because me and corporations and that whole capitalism venture out there. I can go on for like days about that now, but I'm not. I'm going to spare my audience because we're talking about games. But I want to throw in real quick that like I said, because I hear what you're saying, Star. I really do, but like I just, there's so much experience I have in looking into these companies and corporations and what they do, that. And to be fair, the value of the dollar is important. I do understand how the valuation of the dollar does worry people, especially in the wealthy as well. But the fact of the matter is that a lot of times they're going to have reserves already. It's less about them being worried about losing money or not gaining enough money. It's just that it's more about how greedy they become. Just like, for example, when you look at. Because if anything, they're going to look at, they're going to use the current situation that we're in with the recession or whatnot and just use it as an excuse, kind of similar to the gas companies where they're like, oh yeah, that whole thing with Ukraine and Russia, hey, what can we do? When there's been studies and statistics to show that, oh, actually the barrel cost is going down, but they still have the price per gallon at $5 or more. And so,
or more, because I think it's $6 some places.
But because they keep forcing that narrative out there of, hey, times are that whole thing with the conflict is still making prices insane, and with our government's not stepping in to really do anything about that, or saying to them that, hey, y'all got to cut that out, growing a backbone, because we know they bought out by the corporations majority of the time anyway. It's like they're going to continue doing it. They're going to continue trying to push that narrative of, oh yeah, for us, please, like understand that we have to charge you double or triple now for these things, because we're really struggling financially wise. And I'm not gonna say I don't want to say there's absolutely no merit to it, and maybe there's little tiny bits of merits here and there in regards to the truth of that. But for the majority, man, just knowing how corporations operate, man, I don't buy that. So, but anyway, I probably went on too long. I apologize, everybody. I just get into my little rants about that.
Man, nothing to apologize for, man. This is knowledge.
Yeah, man.
So before we get to the finale of the show, there's two other quick things I wanted to talk about. One, and this kind of came as a big shock to me. They are breaking Persona to Xbox finally, which I was pumped to see that. Persona 3, 4, and 5 are all coming to Xbox, and of course Xbox Game Pass, which definitely excited about because I am a huge Persona fan, mainly with Persona 5 because that's one of my top 5 games of all time. So
but you already have those games.
I was about to say, on the PS2.
Yeah, but the more people that have access to it and can play it, the more fans you create. The more fans you create, the more games you can make because you got more people willing to buy it.
So you're looking at the long game. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So here's my thing though. It makes sense for all games to start becoming at some point cross-play or available on other medias because that will only make those developers more money. It makes sense to do that. I just don't know why it took this long for certain games to cross and jump over to other consoles. I mean, nothing should be exclusive. Yeah, definitely money, but nothing should stay exclusive forever. Some things should just be able to have a certain time frame and then everybody else should be able to have access. Unless it's one of those games that's made exclusively because that company or that developer is owned by that company, but like Nintendo, Pokemon, that type of thing makes sense. They don't want to share their profits. But I mean, not knocking a Persona. I'm not saying that game can just make it on anything, but it should be able to grow anywhere it wants because it's a good game and everyone should have an option to play it.
Well, I was hoping we would get a Persona 6 announcement. Unfortunately, we did not, but it was still nice to kind of see these games come to a whole new platform.
We might have got a Persona 6 announcement because Kojima is supposed to be working on something. We just don't know what. It was just
that was the next thing I wanted to talk about is that we did get an announcement that Xbox and Hideo Kojima are making a game together.
That's
so
it. That's
it.
Here's my thing. Kojima
apparently, he said, "quote This is a game I always wanted to make." End quote.
Correct. Meaning that he's not made this game yet, so we can't just think that he's going to do another Silent Hill or he's going to do this or do that. No. Kojima is going to make what Kojima wants to make. We don't know what to expect.
Yeah, that's pretty much established. I think you're right about that. So, and I think given his just tenure, man, I mean, because I know some people may be like, oh man, that's really it and all, but I mean, it's Kojima, so it's honestly it's enough for majority of the fans for them to know that he's going to be doing something, partnering up with Xbox. So that to them that's probably like, hey, and I think he mentioned in there it's going to take some time, right? He said it may take a little bit of time to put out. So
which makes sense because Death Stranding just came out 2-3 years ago,
roughly. I think
about 3 years.
So, and I think the director's cut just came out last year. So, so it makes sense that they're still working on something. And I think there was a game kind of teased with some new some actress. I can't remember her name or something like that. And so this might be what they're what he's referring to now, but. It is. I know for me personally, I'm just excited to see. Oh snap! We got a Hideo Kojima game coming down the road, and I guess it did kind of go out of their norm of what they kind of stated in the beginning that everything you see will be available in the next 12 months. Because I don't think we're getting this in 12 months.
Yeah, probably not. But but I think that honestly, back to that line I said that because I believe he did mention that the game's going to take a while, but I think why that was so important and essential is because it establishes that there's a good relationship between them two. That he's not going to be faced with this whole idea of, like you said, having to push out something within the next 12 months. like they're literally saying, hey, we're willing to work with you and give you all the time you need. You're Kojima. You take as long as you need to put together this masterpiece that you're working on, and we're cool with that. So that's why I think that statement he made was probably the most important part of that, of him coming out.
But here's the thing. This is Kojima. So what if it is going to come out in the next 12 months, and this is probably one of his little mind tricks?
Could be. Hey, it ends up being better then.
Yeah.
Maybe this was something that was in the works for quite a bit behind the scenes, and we're just now hearing about it. So there's a possibility of that. But I just felt like, yeah. But I just felt like it was cool for him to say that, just because it establishes that, all right, he's going to get the time that he needs to do it, as opposed to another company that remains nameless now that kind of pushed him, like try to push him hard and say, no, you need to wrap this up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, and I think if you just give the man, time and money, I think he will produce an amazing experience.
Yeah. And plus, because Death Stranding, I mean, mind you, I know some people can argue about the success of that game, like whether it was successful or deemed a failure, depending on like how you look at the sales and what he was up against. But I think for him, that was probably a successful venture that he was able to do on his own, to say, hey, I had the time to do my, to perform my vision. And just the idea that being with Xbox, with a powerhouse like Xbox, and saying, hey, I get to have all the time I need to put out something truly remarkable, is just going to add more to the value. Though I think it was really cool.
Yeah. And then Death Stranding, I mean, it wasn't a game made for the American palate, but that game
Definitely
was
not.
successful across overseas in a sense.
Mhm.
So I'm not going to knock the game just because it wasn't popular for Americans. Americans aren't the standard of what's good or bad. I mean, we might be the standard of what's bad.
All right.
But yeah, the game.
Sorry, I feel like I had to throw it in there to kind of bounce it out, but go ahead.
But hey, I'm not going to just go on a rant, but I think most of the world thinks Americans are just selfish and we're just so self-absorbed. I'm here to say that I'm very aware of our flaws. So yeah.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, listen. At best, at best, to the rest of the world, we're hilarious, and at worst, we're the most terrible nation in the world. So
yeah.
So like that's the two views you get: hilarious or terrible.
So yeah, I think the game did great everywhere else. It's just that it just didn't have what most of us as Americans look for in games. If there's no violence, we look at the game like, what is this? I mean, you can play cards somewhere else. I mean,
so this ain't Call of Duty.
Oh, God.
There's no
man, I ain't got no gun, man. I can't,
So Kojima tried to add some elements in there to keep Americans happy, but it wasn't well received in America, but it should still be a good game regardless. Because I did look at the story. I went on YouTube. Good story. I just did not want to be a FedEx person in a game.
Dang, alrighty.
Hey man, well, you know what? Speak for yourself, because I'll tell you what, with that, because it's on PlayStation Extra, right?
It is.
So, yeah, so I don't mind being UPS, like delivery man on that game. That's fine. It's free now. Not free, but it's on the subscription service now, so I'll do it.
Oh yeah, you are paying.
I'll pay, but I mean,
for everything.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the right price for being a UPS delivery man.
And of course,
what? Oh no, I'll stop.
All right. And I was just gonna say, of course, they ended the show with finally showing us actual gameplay footage of Starfield. Finally.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is the one I'm very interested in our takes on.
I still want to see more. I still want to see, just regular gameplay, unscripted, just played by somebody else that isn't, such done, stage and everything. But I will say I was not completely disappointed with what I saw. I thought the gunplay looked all right. It looked serviceable. I mean, obviously what they showed was really early game stuff. I think most of the enemies, especially in the beginning, were like level 1 and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing too crazy. The graphics look pretty good. I mean, nothing groundbreaking, but it's Bethesda, so I wasn't expecting anything phenomenal.
Right.
I will say when they did show the actual like dialogue and the conversations with NPCs, I will say the NPCs look much better. The faces look a lot more realistic. They look a lot better than some of the other games they made recently, Fallout 76 and stuff. I was excited for that. I'll tell you what really kind of got me hyped was the whole ship and space part. Being able to kind of build and customize your ship, and they showed a little bit off, and it looks like there's a lot of customizations, like even down to like different parts can be different colors and stuff like that. And then of course there's actual ship combat and gameplay. There's dog fights, and you can just like fly through space. And he did do an interview, Todd Howard, recently, and apparently I think the space combat or the space travel isn't seamless. So what I think, because I was a little confused when they were showing it off, because he was saying how they were saying that you can land anywhere on the planet, and so I was wondering, like, was it a No Man's Sky type deal where you just fly into the planet and then you're just there? There is no loading screen. There's no like cinematic. You just boom, you just fly and you land. Or was there going to be something to kind of interrupt that, and like you go to that planet and you press A, you press whatever button to actually land there, and then you can pick where you land from the sky or something. But
And I predict that it may be the latter because No Man's Sky, that technology is patent unless Microsoft is leasing that or they came up with their own proprietary. But I don't think they are going to use that same, I guess you called it what? Feature or the same technology.
Well, yeah, that's what I said. He did that interview and said it wouldn't be seamless. So that's what I was saying. I don't think it would be like that. If it was, that would be incredible. But I think it is like you said. It won't be like that. It'll be more of some kind of loaded screen or something. But it still looks exciting because I think he said, what is it? There's 100 galaxies with over 1,000 planets or something like that. And yeah, let's be honest. Are like 950 of those planets going to be basic with nothing to do, or really generic? Probably, but more than likely. Most of those planets aren't really going to be too exciting, but just still being able to go out and explore and to see all these possibilities, and then just be able to fly your ship around space. I think that's going to be pretty fun.
Yeah. I'm not excited for it. I mean, there was No Man's Sky. And No Man's Sky has been built up right now to be pretty daggone good if anyone wants to jump into it and check it out. This game, the way that he kind of showcased it off, was the excitement level was just gone. It felt so tutorial. No, that's not the wrong one to use. It felt boring. I don't know, man. It felt like they should have added some more excitement or something to the game so that when I think of that game, if I think of Starfield, if someone who never played it before, I want to feel excited for it. And there was nothing for me to feel excited for it because there's No Man's Sky right now.
Okay, interesting.
I don't know. Nothing new. There's nothing new.
Nothing new to see here. Gotcha.
No, nothing new.
Man.
Well, I mean, I'll take kind of the middle approach in regards to it. I think the strongest things that are holding it together now is the conception or the conceptual direction of the game. Like just the idea of it, and also the exploration aspect of it. I think those are the two strongest points that were showcased as much as it could be. To enough so to where people are still interested, people are still intrigued and want to try it out and see what it's going to be like when it finally releases. I know there were some people who mentioned how rough it looked, compared it a lot to No Man's Sky. And honestly, I can see this concern of that. I wasn't really as shocked about it because it is a Bethesda title. I have not seen much visual improvements of Bethesda titles for quite a bit. And this is not to say I've played all of them or like really am versed in knowing about them like that, but I'm just saying from the outlook of the visuals, I never really was able to say, oh, wow, like this is a drastic improvement over previous Bethesda titles, at least my opinion anyway. And plus, because it doesn't help that I think they still are working with the same engine. It's just updated engine or something like that.
Yeah,
Stupid great
they are
engine.
not letting go of that engine,
They do
man.
not
They
want to,
need
bro.
to.
It's
They
like
need to. Like,
that
God, man,
that
give
engine got
up.
400,000 miles to go.
Like it's over. Like you pushed it to his limit. Like I get it, Bethesda, but you guys could do so much better if you just get a new engine. Just oh my God.
I'm sorry, I mean last hard, but you got me just imagining it like Bethesda resuscitating it. It's like
Yeah,
it's like we're losing it, guys. Come on, break them out. This is clear. Like it's like, all right, we got a little more juice out of it. Like, oh
a
man,
little bit more, man.
I see it now, bro. All the bugs and glitches that are available day one because of this stupid engine.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So that's part of the concern I can see with it. I think another concern that I was seeing was floating around was that they didn't, and I don't know how to really feel about it, but I know that people were kind of like sad about not seeing more of what the story will entail, like what exactly the direction the story is going into. And I don't think they mean like necessarily to reveal what the story is about or give spoilers, but just give like us a general understanding of what to expect with the story. Like, what is the purpose of it? You know, like what are we going to be doing? Are we going to be like trying to stop a galaxy threat? You know, like what it, you know, was it just purely exploration where we're just discovering new stories as we go along? So I it's tough because I do kind of understand that a lot, where you just kind of at least want to know about more about the game and what direction it's going and the story that it's trying to tell. But I don't know. At the same time, maybe it could just be something they're just waiting to just leave for people to find out for themselves. I don't know.
They kind of like vaguely described it. You know, I can't remember what organization that is that you joined, but you end up like working with this group of people whose whole goal is to kind of explore the galaxy and to kind of explore and do all that fun stuff. And so, you know, I'm in the camp of, you know, especially with how far away it is, you know, probably closer to about a year away.
Yeah.
You know, it's fine to not get a whole bunch of story bits just yet, you know, or, and, you know, as long as uh, it comes a little bit later down the road. I know for me, I wanted to see what it looked like. How's it gonna play? How's it gonna run? You know, all right, it's space. Do we get a ship? Do we get to control the ship? You know, because like
Right.
a very similar game, the Outer Worlds that came out just a couple years ago. You know, granted that was a lot more smaller scale. But you know, like for instance, that game you had a ship, but I don't think you could customize it, and you definitely didn't fly it. You just opened up a map and said, "Hey, I want to go here."
Okay. Yeah.
So you know, I know for me, I just wanted to kind of see how the game would look and run. But yeah, as we get closer to launch, it would be nice to kind of see a little bit more about the story, and hopefully, you know, that Bethesda storytelling is still there, and the story, you know, does have some good moments and all that good stuff. And they did show off a little bit of the like skill tree and skill system, which I did like. I did, you know, they have a bunch of different skills, which is nice to kind of build up your character the way you want. And he briefly mentioned about how, like, you know, the more you do a skill, the better it gets. And I do always like that kind of gameplay system. You know, if I use one-handed weapons a lot, then let me get better with that to, you know, make me want to use them more. So I did like that system. I can't wait to see a
Yeah.
little more of that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I mean, you know, I can respect all that you said and everything. And I think that's mainly what people were just worried about was they, unlike other people who were kind of talking about how it looked rough and how it looked kind of like choppy and kind of a bad presentation, you still had people who were like, you know what, I'm okay with how it looks. I just care about the story. And I think that's where the concern came about with those people that were just more interested in the Bethesda storytelling. Like, hey, you know, are we going to be looking at you presenting, you know, giving us something that can, you know, meet our expectations when it comes to the story wise, and for them not to
But
hear as much, you know, I guess
is
that's
it
where that.
Bethesda? Are
Hmm?
they moving away from story? Because isn't that what Fallout 76 was all about? The player creating their own story. Like, what they getting lazy with having to always make a compelling story?
I think
That
that was
they want to separate from that.
I think that was more of a trend that they were just trying to cash in on. Like they saw the popularity of like live service and was like, yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Okay.
That's
Because
what I think.
they even went behind it because you're absolutely right, Star. Because it actually released with no NPCs, or at least like NPCs you could talk to and interact with and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which a lot of people were pissed about because it's like, how do you have a Fallout game and I can't talk to anybody? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Right.
And they actually went back on that, and I think it was the Wastelanders update, or it was some update where they actually introduced NPCs that you can talk and interact with into the game.
Oh yeah.
They had to do something.
Oh yeah, man. They knew they messed that up.
Yeah,
they did not think that through.
Oh man.
At least let me clarify. The management team, I don't think thought that through. Like developers, I'm sure were like giving them warnings and heads up all the time, and they were just probably being ignored. But you know how that goes.
Yeah.
But
so like, if you're not coming to me talking about money, then why are you here?
Pretty much. But it looks interesting, and like they kind of like to boast about, but it is also kind of true. This is their first new IP in 10 or 20 years or something like that, they said. So I am excited to kind of see what they do with it. I mean, they have a lot riding on them, kind of like with Activision Blizzard. I mean, they have been in the negative press world a lot lately, so they have a lot riding on this to kind of see how this game performs. And not only that, I mean, it'd be curious to see how this does, if it's not that well, because after this, we get Avowed, which is from Obsidian, and a lot of people, are praising Obsidian even for their recent game, The Outer Worlds. So it's gonna be interesting to see, because if this isn't good, and then Avowed comes out and it knocks it out the park, Bethesda, man, they
yeah.
So, not to say Microsoft will shut them down or anything, like EA likes to do, but
nah, not for that price tag. I don't think that's
gonna happen for a
minute. If at all. So.
But I like the as a whole. Overall, I like the Xbox conference. I think that there were a good bit of hits, a couple of misses, but for the most part, I left feeling pretty good. I'm excited for the next couple of months. And again, it's I love that just about everything they showed gonna be on Game Pass. So I know that the next couple of months I have a couple things to look forward to that I'm gonna throw in Game Pass, and I'll definitely be checking out.
That's cool. And here comes Star to say the exact opposite, right?
Oh boy,
Star.
No opposites. I really feel like they I just feel like they did their best. Because
you gave him the participation trophy, man.
I mean, they knew other companies were going to have a showcase, so they had to do something. So yeah, it worked. It worked.
Hey man, subtle man. I like it.
I was positive, man.
I mean, yeah, if you want to call it, that's positive, man. That was positively a good jab, man. I like that. They gave it that participation trophy. I don't want to
think that I'm being facetious with my statements, man.
Well, fair enough.
Oh
God.
So, well, I mean, I guess that's it, man. Is there anything we're missing? Star, did you want to give an impression real quick of the PlayStation Extra Plus Extra? Because I know you kind of, was out for that period when we were talking about that.
Oh, no impressions right now. I just need to eat.
Okay. Yeah. And plus you haven't dived into it yet, so, I'm sure.
Yeah, not yet. So, yeah. But yeah, people.
Real quick, BP, did you like it? Not like it? Thought it was okay? Or
what's that? Oh, the showcase. Oh, yeah. I got so wrapped up in y'all's. Okay. Real quick. There were parts of it I liked. As far as at least giving people something to look forward to. You can debate and argue about whether the presentation was good, or whether the games look good or bad or whatever. But at the very least, they did something to say, hey. Here we're going to give you some footage. We're going to give you a little more info about what's to come. So, I mean, to me, that's always a good thing, just to kind of give that out there. So, good or bad, and it didn't seem like they were afraid, to do so, provided that maybe some of them didn't look as polished or look pretty rough or something like that, or concerning. They still were like, you know what, we'll just show you what we got, and rest assured, like you said earlier, that it's going to happen in the next few months, or next 12 months. So I think overall, like, that's the plus of it. The negative was I didn't really remember a whole lot about it, so I think as a negative viewpoint, it didn't really stick out as much as I think it should have. But again, that's my balance for it.
Yeah,
too bad.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything bad about it because again, the games they were displaying were not fully developed yet. They were just just giving you a sense of what's to come. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think I'm being nice, yo. Don't forget this moment.
I mean, I would applaud, man, but I don't know. Like, I feel like this is a trap that you're setting me up for, but
No trap, man.
So, but that's cool. That went pretty good. So, yeah, because I ain't got nothing else. What about you, kid? That's it?
Yeah, I think that was about it. Go play Persona 5 when it comes out on Game Pass.
Nice. When you give that little speech that you're not endorsed or paid by the makers of Persona at all or anything?
No, not at all.
Awesome. Okay, leave it as a mystery. Okay.
Yeah. I'm just playing.
That's cool.
But it is one of the best games ever, so yeah, I would definitely recommend it. And then you also get the newer version, Persona 5 Royal. So
yeah, that's true too.
Awesome.
Go play it.
Awesome. Okay, that sounds like a good sign off. I'm gonna leave the contact information for us in the show notes as usual. You can check out our website. I'm sure I updated it by now for in the show notes and everything, but it's gmrcreditsonline.com. That's where you can find a lot of the connections to Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and Anchor and all those different platforms that we're on. So just be sure to check that out and catch you on the next time.
Let's get it.
All right, peeps.
All right, peace.
Peace.
Hey, man, that's my thing.
Nice.
Hey.
I'm just joking.
I ain't gonna ever do that again. I
No, man, I'm joking, man.
Do it again next week.